Hello, Aries. This is your reading for the week of May 18th, or when you hear it and it resonates. And of course, it won't be for every Aries because we're reading for the collective. What I did here as I was starting to ask Spirit what we were doing with Aries today. Well, actually, what we were doing today, the first thing I saw was Aries, and then I saw the big R. The R was predominant. And when I asked why, I heard these three things: reflect, respect, and redirect. So this tells me that for some of you in the collective, you're in a position right now where you may be reflecting on different things in your life that have not been living up to the degree of self-appreciation, respect. Well, there you go, respect. It says it all, doesn't it? What needs of you are not being met, are not being respected by those around you? But remember, if it's by those around you, then chances are, first of all, it's not being respected by you, because usually what we'll notice is the behavior we get from other people is a direct reflection back of the energy we're putting out. So if we are in a position where we are, for example, constantly in motion, taking care of everybody else, doing what needs to be done, not just taking care of everybody else, but in motion constantly to get what we want, to get where we need to get. What we can do in those moments is not really be respecting what our deeper needs are. It may be associated more with our ego needs. So you're being asked in this case, for you, this is about you. This is about you respecting yourself. I was not sure it was going in that direction. So interesting. What do you need to do once you reflect back on what it is that needs to change in order for you to feel that you are honoring your best self, your highest values, your deepest desires? This is where you get to understand how you need to redirect by making new choices. And this is where you identify your power. And conversely, what they're reminding me is when you look at where your power is draining, where your life force is not being nurtured, where you are more exhausted than you are alive and engaged in life. This is where you're draining energy. And we drain energy when we are not in alignment with what is our highest good, whether or not it's from a perspective of taking care of our bodies properly, whether or not it is who we allow ourselves to associate, whether it might be potentially changing some of the dynamics in the relationship. It looks as though what you are doing is you are in a process now of redefining some of those things. And for those of you who are, congratulations, because, excuse me, this is really, really itchy, because this is an ideal time for you to be able to reevaluate where some of these things are coming from. Why is that helpful? Well, that's helpful because it releases you from carrying negative, I don't even want to say negative, restrictive beliefs about who you are and who you're allowed to be. There is a framework that can be set up within our ego structure, because our ego is our framework for interacting with the world, that when we go back to childhood, we can look at some of those foundational behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, values that we've taken on as part of our personality structure. Now, we do this pre-verbally, we do it verbally, we do it in our early stages, our very early stages of life, where we can become very imprinted with the values of those around us, and that's kind of natural. But this is where you get to look at this, because the values that have been imprinted on us, taught to us, modeled for us, are not necessarily being done by people who had their highest interest at heart, who were aligned with their best selves. I've been reflecting some on certain things in my mother's life and realizing, oh my God, really, truly, this woman was a marvel at how well she was able to take care of us, considering what her beginning was, what her beliefs were around safety and self-care and self-value. It's amazing. God bless her. And this might be the case with you too. Whether or not you're going to go back as a way to understand yourself, What you can also take into account is that as you do that and you understand yourself better, you also understand those who gave you the model that you lived by. You can understand and respect and appreciate what theirs was in a way where you can let go of it. Because if you hold resentment towards it, that's you're holding. You're holding. So can you, if you are finding yourself, I see this kind of like a path where you are understanding where your values, where your beliefs, behaviors have possibly disempowered you. You're reflecting on that. You're now in the state of energy where you can appreciate it from more of a compassionate point of view. Respect for yourself, understanding yourself. In doing that, very often what you will do is you will release any resentments that you have associated with the behaviors that are coming to light. You're going to be able to identify where they came from. And that then takes you back to what in your childhood created restrictions in who you would like to be today or who you would like to have been in your life. This is so beautifully healing on every single level, and also historically, generationally. As you let go, as you as you create that space for everybody just to be these beautiful lights of spirit on earth, learning sometimes with magnificent distress and what would be considered failures. We are learning, we are growing, and actually sometimes, it's one of the spiritual concepts that I think actually is probably very accurate. My perception is that sometimes the ones who come in and create the most chaos in our lives are the ones who are actually there specifically to help us grow, to learn. In effect, they are our teachers by setting up circumstances in such a way that we have to be able to challenge who we are and what we believe in order to move beyond those things. So I'm going to leave you with that, Aries. I believe this is beautiful. And the one thing that I would like to leave you with is to say, please remember that as you engage in any kind of prayerful, sacred, I'll just say sacred concept of life, honoring of life in all of its phases, this is actually where you're going to find your deepest power and your greatest sense of power. It's not going to have to come from your will anymore. As you do this, as you explore these things, you expand your connection to your essential self, your essential being, your true self, divine self. And that is where you start really claiming your power, because it's from that place of expanded consciousness that you see, that you're able to reflect more easily, more consistently. You're able to respect whatever you're feeling in the moment, and then you can redirect quickly before you've created a pattern or a situation or a relationship that has existed for a long time that maybe not be serving you in your best interest. Okay? Doesn't mean if it has been going on for a long time, it cannot change. And that being said, the sooner you can start applying some of these things, the more likely you are to be creating situations and relationships in alignment with your higher self, and therefore less inclined to need a lot of redirecting. It will kind of happen organically. Aries, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this is helpful for you, and I wish you all the best, my dears. Much love.